Hello there. This is a remake of a video that I just put down. I uploaded, and when I played it back and listened to it, I thought, oh dear, I was blabbering on and all over the place. So hopefully, even though I haven't got a script, I don't use scripts, I can do a little bit more justice to this video. Now, the video is entitled Digital versus Analog. Now, there isn't really any such thing really as analog when you're talking about either cassettes or vinyl, because since the 70s the vast majority of recordings have been done in digital format. They've been using digital tape or PCM recording, and obviously digital mixing as well since the 70s. So all the 80s albums, you remember, they are all recorded in digital. So what in fact you're getting when you play a record back or a cassette back is the digital recording, and then you're retrieving it via analog means. That is the worst of both worlds, I think, because with the analog means, as far as records go, obviously you get the pops and the crackle and the coloration, the intermodulation, distortion, when the tone arm's not set up right on the record. And with cassettes, obviously you have cassette hit, hiss and saturation and coloration as well. So if you're going to look at it in those terms, the digital CD is probably the best medium to listen to music, certainly music newer than from bands or orchestras or whatever, from the 1970s and above. Obviously, if you've got a reel-to-reel tape deck running at, say, 15 IPS, like the Tascam TSR8, which I've actually got, and you record some live instruments in there, like guitar, bass, a drum kit and all of that, and then play it back through, obviously, your analog amplifier, it's going to sound fantastic. Or if you've got a master tape, which is done, do exist master tapes out there which sound fantastic, and obviously that analog medium is just brilliant. Although obviously with tapes you have a lot of maintenance on tape recorders, and you have to clean them and demagnetize the heads. There's a lot of maintenance, whereas on CD players there's very little. This CD player I've got here, the Mission DAD 7000, is highly based on a Philips CD104. It's got a different front panel, and it's also remote controllable, and it has a thing on the back which I've removed now, but it's an extra filter. Anyway, this is my player. I bought it very cheaply because it has no buttons at all, so you have to open the drawer with a screwdriver poking in at the switch. These you can't do anything with, so as I may have mentioned before, I bought this Mission remote control. It's for a PCM 7000, not the DAD 7000, but it does actually work on this. It hasn't got the volume, this volume doesn't do anything, but it does actually work. There's no eject here, unfortunately. But yeah, this is the way I get around this. So I'm using this to actually test my modules. These Delatronic modules here. So I'm getting a new batch made up in China now, the boards, and then I will populate them myself with SMD components, and then I will test every single one before they go out, because I'm going to be selling a few of these, because with an instruction kit on how to fit them, and the fact that you need to put a resistor like this there on this SAA 7000 CEM chip. I have to put a resistor like this to force it into 14-bit mode. That's what this resistor does. It forces that pin 16 to ground instead of being held on high, so you're forcing that pin low in order to put it into 14-bit mode. You have to do that, and then all you need to do is take out the original filter chip from there, put a socket or wire this module directly in if you're going to get this module. But even doing NOS upgrades to this, removing the filter chip and strapping a few pins across, you can see that on the internet how to do that, makes a huge difference to the sound. It's like a blanket was in front of the speakers and muffling the sound and making it feel captive and less dynamic. And when you actually non-oversample this model, it's just really makes a big difference, and the overclocking makes an even bigger difference. But a big difference can be had just by doing the non-oversampling mod. Here you see you have two TDA 1540Ps. P stands for plastic package. You can get ceramic ones of these as well on the older units, which sounds slightly better. There's not a huge difference, but these are twin DACs. You have one for the left and one for the right channel. And here you can see these op amps here, one for left and one for right. And this is the relay where the sound comes out via this connector here or soldered to the underside of the board. So anyway, what I've done is I've got some wires coming from the servo board here, bringing them round to this board here, which is a board under test at the moment. I've just, this was the original board from this unit, and I've just modified this and put my Delatronics module in, which I've got, just to show you, this is what I have printed out in China, PCB way, and then I populate them with SMD components. Obviously it's my own design, so it's all copyrighted, so I won't divulge what's on there, but I will be making them available for sale on my Delatronics eBay channel at some point when I get them in. It should be a few weeks from now, I would think. Anyway, why are these CD players so good? Well, they just are, because this was the first DAC chip brought out by Philips, and it was the best, because the DAC chip that followed this was the TDA 1541, which basically squeezed these two DACs into one stereo DAC, and also added a digital output, which is all well and good, but you know, these DACs are the best. I've tested the DACs. I used to do a lot of non-oversampling mods on Rotel RCD 855, which is an excellent deck as well. That uses 1541s, and I used to do non-oversampling mods on that and different mods, but I put the two side by side, both modded, a 1541 unit and a 1540 unit together, and there just wasn't any comparison really between the two. Although the RCD 55 sounded great, sounded pretty good, and most people would be very happy with that, there was a clear difference in musicality with the 1540. So it's 1540 all the way. So that's all I do now. That's what I modify really. 1540s. I swear by them. I think they're great. But anyway, some people think, oh, the spec sheets, the 1540s are rubbish. They're like 14-bit DACs. You know, nowadays you can get 18-bit, 20-bit CD players and all that. But the truth of it is, the bit depth, which is 14-bit, 16-bit, 18-bit, 20-bit, whatever, the bit depth on playback makes very, very little difference, just to the level of noise you get. But the level of noise, like a hissing sound, that's what it comes out as. You can't notice it hardly at all. Well, you can't notice it on 14-bit. 8-bit you can just about notice it, but 14-bit there's no hiss whatsoever. So it doesn't really make a lot of difference whether it's 14-bit, 16, 18 or 20. Makes very little difference. And in fact, the bit depth can actually harm the reproduction, because and also the frequency, sampling frequency can as well, because this is a 44.1. Some of these digital systems are going up to 96, a 128 bit, I think that is a thing, but the higher the sampling frequency, the higher the frequency you can sample. Do you understand? So the range of human hearing is from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So according to Nyquist's theory, you need to have something that samples at least double the highest frequency. So double 20 kilohertz is 40 kilohertz. So since these sample 44.1, it's perfectly adequate. 44.1 is perfectly adequate. But as you go up higher in sampling frequency, not only do you take up more memory when memory chips are involved, because it takes more to store all that data, there's obviously a lot more data, but the resultant output from the chips, the very, very high frequencies, they start to produce some very strange harmonics. All these frequencies you can't hear, they're actually felt within the amplifier you're putting in these outputs to. They're felt within the circuitry, and you can get some funny oscillations occurring which destroy the sound and add to the distortions with a complex harmonics. So it's not better if you use a higher bit rate when you're playing back. When you're recording, that's a different matter. If you use a very high bit rate when you're recording, that's fine. But when you're playing back, you just don't need to use a CD player that is 18-bit, 20-bit, whatever it claims to be. You just don't need it. In fact, it's harmful to do so. So anyway, that's basically it. Hope you understood what I'm saying. It is quite a complex thing, really, all of this. But this machine here is still running perfectly, and it is obviously, this came out in about 1985, so that makes it pretty old, you know. It's at 40 years old pretty much. So this is pretty good to have lasted that long, and it's built in such a way, it's built extremely well. This is all a metal chassis, very heavy, servo board on top, and here we have the CDM1, which in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, is the best CD drive ever made. And look, there's a swing arm principle there to read the information of the disk, rather than a sled. A lot of these newer drives have sleds which get stuck after a while when the grease gets bad, but these are really, really reliable, and you can service these by altering the turntable height when the bearing runs down a bit. You can alter the laser intensity. The lasers in these are top-notch diode lasers. They have glass lenses rather than the plastic rubbish that you got on everything now. I mean, this is real quality, and it's no wonder that these type of CD players have gone up in value, and I can't see them going down. They're just going to go up and up, especially the modified ones. Anyway, I can play this. This is not copyrighted because I got too many flags on my last video. So here we go. Let's oh no, here we go. I've got to press pause, take it out of pause. Here we go. That's the eye pattern coming from the HF area, coming off this connector here from the CD drive. I mean, I can't really turn it up in my flat, really. Turn it up a little bit. Anyway, that's a free license-free YouTube music, so I shouldn't get any flags coming up on that. As I've probably mentioned before, Delatronics is still running here in the UK for the time being, although it may not always be running. It's very, very quiet at the moment, I must say. This cost of living crisis that we have here means that people don't want to buy anything, and they don't even want to get anything repaired. So it's quite sad at the moment, the situation here. So I might have to get some sort of permanent job very, very shortly, because I certainly haven't got enough income from doing these repairs, or even from musical instrument repairs at all, to support my family. So, you know, if you want to have your CD player repaired, then best to get in touch with me soon, you know, if you're in the UK or even Europe. But at the moment on eBay I'm offering £5 charge for looking at it. That's not an estimate charge, that's because of my time having to repack it to send it off, and obviously I would give you an estimate, free estimate. You have to provide free estimates in the UK, but the reason why I've got a £5 charge on my eBay listing is just to, you know, because of the, you know, I have to use petrol to take it back to the post office or wherever to get it sent out. I've got certain costs that are involved in doing this apart from time. So yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I've had that listed now on eBay for a while. I've had one person come in with a CD100, which I've got him sorted out. That had quite a few nasty faults on it, but I sorted it completely out for him, and he's over the moon. I've got quite a good reputation for repairing these sort of things. I obviously went away to Brazil for a while, so people may have forgotten, also with instruments, space echoes, tape echoes, reel-to-reel tape machines, Revox, Akai, Tascam, Ferrograph, all this sort of thing. I had a very good reputation when I was here from 2015 to 2020. But obviously I went back to Brazil for 3.5, nearly 4 years. I've just come back again to the UK. I intend to stay in the UK as long as I possibly can, although obviously it's quite difficult to live in the UK really nowadays, with everything so expensive, including rents and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm determined that I'm going to stay in this country for as long as I possibly can. So yeah, there we go. This is what's going on, and this is the reason why I think that digital is better than analog, if that's not already been made clear, is because digital recordings, they don't have noise, they don't have crackles or pops. The actual equipment is a lot more reliable and needs less maintenance than a record player or a tape machine. And you know, the sound's just superb. The dynamic range for a CD is excellent. It's way above a vinyl record. It doesn't matter how much you want to spend on vinyl, a lovely tone arm or cartridge, it's way better. The only thing is, obviously I've got some records here. I haven't got a record player to play them on. I was hankering after getting a Riga Planer 3 or something like that, or Mitchell Techno, or Mitchell Gyro or Micro or something like that. But I don't know really. I've looked into this, and there's not really any point for me to start a record collection again. In the past I did have a fantastic Lin turntable with a modified Riga arm on it, which was great, but really and truly, if I'm honest, compared to this CD player, especially modified, there just is no comparison. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. That would be really good. I'll leave you now with this eye pattern playing, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks very much for watching.